and welcome to Evilly Yours English,
the podcast where we complain and explain all of these terrible things within the English language.
Yeah, in fact, at some point we can talk about why complain and explain have the same suffix.
Yeah, because I don't know that, but I would love to learn, girl. Honestly, we're here because as much as we love and have studied and value the English language, we just can't help but also hate it at the same time.
But I don't loathe the word loathe.
No.
And the point of this show, as we're going to talk about, or part of the show, is to discuss words that we do actually loathe. So we love to loathe.
We do. Like it's I think it's just the New Yorkers within us. Like we love to loathe. It's just in our DNA, really. How bizarre. How bizarre.
All right, tell me about your credentials. So person number one.
So I'm one of your hosts. I'm Claudia. And I have, just like many of us, studied English all my life. I so much so that I majored in it for undergrad. And then I said, that's not enough. I am going to work in an ESL department, or at least at that point it was ESL, now it's ELL, and stayed there for a few, and also tutored English language learners. And then I said, you know what? I need to engross myself more. So I taught it for about 6 years. That sounds right. While doing that, I started writing reviews. So, I've dabbled in the English language arts in many, many different ways.
What's artsy about words? So much, actually. And that's part of what we're here to talk about.
That's how we get books, girl. Like, come on.
That's how we get books.
I said what I said. And currently I am working as a special education coordinator, so still dealing with the English language in some facet, practicing these verbal skills. And I figured, well, you know what? Starting a podcast talking about it and practicing a bit more of the verbiage, why not? Let's go. Christina, tell me about you. Tell me about your credentials.
All right, it's time to drop some bars. So my name is Christina, and my credentials are MS, TSSLD, CCC, SLP. I'm a speech therapist, so that means that I have an extensive education in linguistics, psychology, counseling. I am a specialist in the brain, face, and neck. Essentially, that brings language, everything you do with your mouth, to the forefront. So that is what I do for work. Now,
essentially, she answers the question, what that mouth do, though.
Exactly.
And besides that, we're best friends. We've been friends since undergrad, for 14 years.
14.
Gross.
As far as my credentials go, otherwise, why should you trust me? I'm a Latin gold medalist. And that's why you should trust me. Etymology is my number one. That's how I pass tests. Forget like time management. If you can break a word down, you're good to go in English. So we're going to talk a lot about how we break words down and why words have certain things in common.
We're also going to touch on the history of words, why, how through society words have morphed, how the language morphs to what we need as a society in that moment.
So Claudia's actual last name is Shakespeare, and she'll talk a little bit about like the words that she's come up with during the Renaissance and like how we still use them today. So we're going to kind of merge like the Latin-based words, use those Germanic Old English words and how they all come into this wonderful, wild language that we use and get upset with on a daily basis.
Bold of you to say wonderful.
This is our first episode, and we've called it Prolegomenon, which is an ancient Greek word that we're going to dive right into to show you what you're here for. So we're going to flex a little. And if this is interesting to you and you like how we do this, every week, tune in, we'll talk about some words and the derivatives. The derivatives are the parts that make up the word from the olden language that give us the word that we have now. So this word prolegomenon comes from prolegomena, which is a critical introduction to a book, right? So it's essentially what this is. If you don't listen to our intro, you don't know who we are, why you should listen to us, what's going on, right? This is that intro to our story. You're learning a little bit about us, and you're just going to get more of the plot as it thickens, right?
And if you think about prologue, that's where you're going to get some information before things.
I don't know, my notes say prolapse when you just said prologue, but anyway. The remainder of that word, so if you break down prolegomenon, which I'll put on the screen and I'll spell it out verbally for our listeners here. Prolegomenon. Prolegomenon. The leg in the middle means collect or gather, or to like pick out, to collect words. So I think that also really reflects what we're doing here. We've been, for the duration of our friendship, like we'll encounter words. Both used to get like the same word of the day emails, and just like discuss like what these words mean and where they come from. So that's what we're doing. We're collectors of words, and we like to break them down and use them in our own way. And
that's why we're best friends, man. We're there intellectually, we're there with heart, love, all that, man.
Yeah, so we're going to complain about words essentially that are bizarre or confusing or hard to say, like prolegomenon, and we'll break them down and we'll assassinate them and we'll make them into measly little derivatives that we can shred. And that's the agenda. I just want you all to know that there's a really helpful website that we are absolutely not getting paid to talk about.
Would love to.
Yeah, so you know how like normal people would go to dictionary.com or Google define or thesaurus.com for words? So I go to etymonline.com. So ETYMONLINE.com, like etymology online. And that's where I get a lot of breakdowns for words if I don't already know what the words are. So if you hear me talking about etymolline.com, that's what I'm talking about. So you'll hear us bash these historical word roots in our own way, but you're welcome to go read them yourself.
We are, again, doing this on a weekly basis. We are still trying to settle on a day, but I feel like we liked Friday.
We like Friday. Fridays are good.
Because, you got to get down on Friday, as Miss Rebecca Black said. And in addition to that, we will also be doing a book club discussion at the end of each month. So if you want to stick around for the assassination of words, yes. If not, you can join us for book club, girl. And it's going to be great.
You can see what we're reading this month and follow along as we move forward. If you have questions that you want us to discuss, you can drop us a line on any of our social networks, which will be evilly.yours.english at anything. TikTok, Instagram. We're going to be on YouTube. If you're watching this on YouTube, you already know.
Yeah, you already know. It already came up on your For You page. Get it, girl. You're already ahead of the game. Subscribe. Like and subscribe, girl. At least when it comes to book club, we are also open to suggestions. We can add them to our cute little Amazon list. If you want us to read cringe, we will read cringe and we will shred the cringe. And embrace that. If you want us to read a classic, we'll read a classic. But yeah, basically anything is fair game. So feel free to slide into that DM, or maybe we'll even do a suggestion box every maybe week.
We love having book clubs. We got through many books between 2020 and 2022. So we figured we would just share with the world. Shout out Harry Potter and the Sacred Text for a lot of the inspiration for this. This is all pure love and just pure love for literature, for language and each other. So we hope you also love us. Hit the subscribe and we'll talk to you next time.
Wow. Where can you find us, you might ask? YouTube, Insta, TikTok. Insta and TikTok, evilly.yours.english. YouTube, you found us, but just in case, evilly yours English. And like and subscribe, follow us, all the things, because we want to engage with you just like hopefully you want to engage with us. So you know what to do. Y'all are social. We like being social too.
If you're just listening to us but you want to see our faces, you can go to any of those sites. If you are looking at our faces and you don't want to look at them anymore and you just want to listen to us, evilly.yours.english on Spotify.
Hope you stick around.
And remember, send your explains and complains and we will talk about them. We will explain away and complain away.